You're watching us here on a fresh new episode of Mad About Markets. I'm Mangalam, with me as always, Ritu. Hi, Ritu.
Hi, Mangalam.
It's all about the sauce.
It is.
Content creators look for saucy details, magicians look for secret sauces, etc. And those who animated Kung Fu Panda made Po wandered around for that secret sauce.
But we're quite literally talking about sauces here, right? And then I don't mean ketchup.
No, we mean both sauces and ketchup. I'll tell you about that in just a bit. But importantly, India is consuming a lot of sauce. That's not just ketchup.
Absolutely, and that is must to clarify, because when we talk about sauces, we do not mean ketchup alone. Yes, ketchup is a sauce, but not all sauces are ketchup, because ketchup is primarily made with tomatoes and everything else is sauces. And that's what we discussed today on Mad About Markets.
And let's go on with the number crunch.
As
a
always.
Crunch that you dip into the sauce. How big is the overall market? Let's crunch those numbers for you. In India, the sauces, dressings and condiments market is as big as 21,700 crores as of 2021 and likely to grow almost to 30,000 crores, 29,060 crores by 2026. This data, however, is highly skewed by the presence of salt, pepper and other seasonings included in the condiment and seasoning market. But if you just take a look at the sauces and ketchups market in India, in 2017 it was close to around 2,100 odd crores. Now it's as big as $500 million. Of this 3,000 crores, roughly 60% can be classified as ketchup, which is tomato sauce basically, and 40% of that is the non-tomato sauces.
Well, you know what happened in the pandemic is, again, we saw consumer preferences and behavior changing. So pre-pandemic, the contribution of non-tomato sauces was just 30%, but it has grown faster during the pandemic, now to command almost 40% of the market share. Now, during the pandemic years, newer brands like your Dr. Oetker's Fun Foods, your Veeba, Naagin, Wingreen's, you'd have heard of them, they grew by almost 50 to 100%, and some on a lower base even saw a tripling of their sales. Now, not only did the new players grow during the pandemic, the quest for home cooking also interested biggies when you had your Unilever and Nestle and Jubilant Foods also expanding their range of offerings in the sauces and condiments business, or even venture into newer sauces and condiment categories.
Right, so that brings us to putting some questions to the guests that we have today. We have with us Viraj Bahl, the founder and managing director of Veeba with us. And joining us shortly is Mikhel Rajani, the co-founder of Naagin Sauce as well. Viraj, thank you for joining in. First up, we're trying to size the overall sauces market in India, X of salt and pepper. What is your sense?
Most importantly, a big thank you for someone giving sauces the importance it deserves. I keep saying this, sauce is the biggest unsung hero of the Indian food industry. It is, it is responsible for maximum taste and the lowest. So whenever you have a burger, the sauce changes the taste of the burger, but you only talk about the patty or the bun, but nobody talks about the sauce. So thank you to you for doing this segment on sauces. So if to answer your questions, if I had to look at sauces as a category, rightly said, we'll divide it into two. One is ketchup, one is the non-ketchup part. Roughly, both are similar to each other in size, which is between 2,000 and 2,500 crores is the ketchup, and roughly around the same size. So if we put ketchup at 2,400 crores, the non-ketchup segment is about 2,000 odd crores in itself. So, ketchup is obviously dominated by the two big boys, and the other segment, we will also include, mayonnaise, sandwich spreads, salad dressing, and, Chinese sauces. So that is how I would, broadly divide the two segments.
All right, roughly 2,000, 2,300, 2,500 crores. But, what has been the trend of the growth in these non-ketchup sauces, especially since the pandemic?
Yes, at least definitely in terms of value it is. Even in India, the non-ketchup market is growing far more rapidly than the ketchup market. And, the reason for that, I mean, though I would love to take all the credit for, because we're launching so many new SKUs, Veeba today has more than 90 sauces on the retail shelves. But though I would love to take the credit for this, the credit actually lies with the large QSR chains. Imagine Burger King has launched so many burgers, McDonald's, Burger King, Domino's launches so many pizzas with different. So Domino's has a normal pizza. It also has a tandoori pizza with a tandoori sauce. Subway has so many sauces. So, and these guys have now opened so many restaurants collectively. and also the standalone restaurants. So when customers are going for that, they want the same taste, the same convenience at their house also. So the market, the widening of the market, and credit should be given where it's due. I think that widening of the market has been led by the QSR chain.
All right, Viraj, thanks a lot for that. The credit does go to QSRs, but you guys have also made those QSR flavors accessible to us thanks to your sauces. But it's now time to welcome to our studios Mikhel Rajani, who's the co-founder at Naagin Sauce. Mikhel, a pleasure to have you here. And my spice tolerance is here, whereas Ritu likes her things spicy. But importantly, you're a pandemic product, right? What's the kind of growth you saw there during the pandemic?
So during the pandemic, we had a lot of people cooking at home. So we saw, and a lot of people taking interest of what's sort of in their pantry. So we saw a huge spike in sales, particularly online orders at the time, because we had just started off. So we didn't really have many offline channels at the time. But we got huge amounts of user-generated content about how people actually use hot sauce in a variety of ways. And yeah, the pandemic.
What made you think that hot sauce is the place to be?
Because India is the largest consumer and exporter of chilies in the world, and we already know about jalapenos, habaneros, but nobody knew about lavangi mirchis or Sankeshwari chilies. So we felt that there was no brand that sort of aligned itself with that reputation. That's where we felt we needed to make India's first sort of hot sauce.
So you're going to remain in the hot sauce category, or are you looking to expand your portfolio?
So as a big part of our company mission is to highlight Indian chilies, and we see ourselves as the spice authority of India. So
authority,
because we've actually gone, we aspire to be an authority.
How big are you as compared to the biggies right now?
We're small. I would say we're just getting started.
Okay, just getting started. So that sets me up rightfully for the next question that I have for Viraj. Viraj, what do you think it will take for a newer player to break into this market?
First of all, humble request to all new players considering, don't try and come. We don't want the competition. It is a hyper competitive space, Mangalam. I mean, there are so many players already there. We are all fighting for the same share of the plate. And we're not even the center of the plate. We're the side of the plate. We're all fighting for the same side of the plate. And it is hyper competitive. If I had to give you, let me think of Veeba as a newcomer in the ketchup space. We've just entered the ketchup space. Now, how do we take on the giants already there? So what we have done, as you know, I'm a really proud Indian. And what we have done is we said that it cannot take 75 years of post-independent India to. So we were actually the first Indian company to launch preservative-free tomato ketchup in the market. So what we have done is we are saying we will come in via a niche. We'll price ourselves as per market standards, but we are bringing India's first preservative-free tomato ketchup to the market. We've brought in, to the best of my knowledge, India's first sugar-free tomato ketchup also. So anybody who's wanting to come into the sauce space, if they want to compete with us today, they will have to, come via innovation. They'll have to do something which we are not doing, and that's the only way to enter.
What do you think, Mikhel? Do you concur as a new player? Do you need deep pockets? Do you need online presence? Will you not enter the ketchup category, which is already dominated by two very large players? What is your strategy on this?
So I feel there's a lot of scope for original products. I agree with that. And I think there's a lack of original Indian products in the market. So given that we've actually made Indian flavors that are not like any that are there in the West or in the East, and we've designed products actually for the Indian palate itself, that's why we think that gives us the biggest edge over anyone else in the market. Plus, the sauce market is dominated by cornstarch fructose, which is pretty much what most of the sauces are made of. And Indian consumers are getting very savvy and aware about what they're sort of having.
As well.
And yes, like Naagin sauce is made with all real vegetables, real ingredients.
So is India going to be your dominant market, or you think you can market these products outside?
Since we're the first Indian hot sauce, we want to establish ourselves here as well, but we're in 6 other countries now, and this is all from interest from their side to actually connect with Indian products.
And you say local Indian flavors, etc., it's not all hot, or are you looking at the hot sauce space itself?
So we're looking at Indian spices, so not necessarily spicy. Our new product, the 65, is pretty mild, inspired from Tamil Nadu. So all our products are deep-rooted in Indian nostalgia. So something that's familiar to Indians, but like the most advanced version
And
of
is it going to be only sauces or?
No, we plan to go across a range of products, sauces. We're doing a range of cooking sauces as well coming up. We have condiments. We have a spice mix range, which is out soon, and some more that I can't name right now.
Chutneys and pickles.
Hot sauce is an advanced version of chutney anyway, so it's not that far.
You know, let's talk about the ketchup market in India itself. It's dominated by two large players and a very long tail. Between HUL's Kisan and Nestle's Maggi lies almost 90% of the market, and then you have the others, Cremicas, Veebas of the world. The non-tomato ketchup space, that is the sauces space, again has two large dominant players. Veeba and Fun Foods account for almost 80% of the share. We have Wingreens at about 6%, and the others, including Naagin, are at about 13%. But what really stands out over the last few years, Indians have taken to mayonnaise, and how. It's a market that is expanded from just about 300 crores in 2017 all the way up to 600 crores during the pandemic, and as we speak, by the end of 2023 it's likely to be almost 800 to 850, closer to 900 crore sort of market. So that's tripling in just about 5 years, Ritu.
But you know, Mangalam, it's not just an India thing. It's actually a trend that is shaping globally as well, because you know, mayonnaise is the largest chunk of the spice and condiment market, with ketchup and other hot sauces occupying the second and the third place, mustard far lower at the fourth place. Now, in India itself, despite the stellar growth rate that we've seen, mayonnaise penetration is just 22%, which implies a serious headroom for growth. In fact, the most penetrated products are ketchup and chili sauce, almost 65%, followed by packet chutneys, 32%, salad dressing, mayonnaise, and dips at about 20%, which implies that there is a massive headroom for growth for all of these. Now, Viraj, let me come to you on that note. You know, what is the growth opportunity you see for sauces in India? And is Veeba looking to penetrate other categories like we were asking Mikhel as well?
I think Veeba now, with our distribution might of more than 650 towns, much more than 100,000 outlets where we are available. Today we are not going deeper because we don't have the product range. So tomorrow, hypothetically speaking, if we, let's say, launch a biscuit, our distribution is already reaching to, let's say, in your locality, if there are 10 shops, we are only giving the Southwest Chipotle to three out of those 10 because the other 7 can't carry it. It's not that our distribution doesn't reach there. So tomorrow, as we go a bit more mass market, so tomato ketchup is one step in that direction. Because now from 3 out of the 10 shops in your locality, we might be able to go to 6 out of the 10. So that is how we plan to now increase our distribution and depth in that particular retailer. So yes, in our story, our aim is to launch, I can't tell you the categories right now, but our aim is to launch 2-3 new categories over the next 3 years and take Veeba deeper. As we're getting scale, now it makes sense to do something which is slightly more, for example, ketchup. It is obviously much more widely accepted than the sauces that we've been doing earlier. So ketchup is the next step, and then after ketchup, the next category will be slightly bigger than ketchup, and after that, the next category will be slightly bigger than that as well. So that is our plan going forward.
You guys are acting, quite elusive. Both Mikhel and Viraj are telling us that they're looking at newer categories which are bigger. Not telling us which ones. Maybe we'll have to wait for them to be at our shelves, etc., or maybe online, etc. But it has definitely whetted our appetite to know what you guys are doing. But at the same time, we have deep-pocketed competitors, Viraj. We saw the way Unilever has launched Hellman's Mayo. We have Maggi expanding the range of their sauces. Do you think these guys could topple the apple cart for you guys?
Frankly, am I scared about Unilever and Nestle looking at this category? Obviously, I'd be lying if I'm not. I mean, they are giants. They are someone I am totally impressed with. You grow up listening to stories of the might of Unilever. So obviously it worries me. But will they topple us? I don't think so. I think what will happen is they'll considerably, look at me. I'm talking about being in a couple of 100,000 stores as a big thing. Unilever would laugh at that, right? So when Unilever comes into this space, they will market it. They will, kind of increase the distribution. So I think it will be genuinely, and I'm not saying this to sound cool on CNBC, but it will be genuinely good for the market if some of these big boys come. And I hope that they spend some of that big boy money on these categories, because our marketing campaigns, though we're on TV, though we've done a lot of marketing, but they will never be able to match a Nestle or a Unilever. So I welcome them. I mean, Marico has recently come into this segment. Unilever, as you said, has come into this segment. If I did not know about Nestle, but even if Nestle is coming, I think it's great for the segment. And I think, I mean, I welcome them. And frankly, I'll probably will learn from them a bit, and as they say, see you at the movies. So see you in the retail market. It's going to be fun.
Mikhel, I heard you saying you can topple some of the players in the market, huh?
No, not that. I said we're not afraid of anyone coming. And we, as a smaller company, we're nimble. We can do much more things that larger corporations can't do. And
still, what is the end game? How do you achieve scale and size as a newer player in the market when you're competing with these deep-pocketed, large, established players with their network, with their chains? Do you think the larger end goal, is it for companies like you to be acquired to achieve that scale? Or look at other opportunities?
Not necessarily. I feel we get to take advantage of the internet and its exponential growth today that legacy companies can't do that because of their distribution network that already exists and they can't discount below a certain price.
But what they can do actually is look at your brand as a proof of concept, proof of success, and
use their
look that and use their distribution might to scale it.
They could, but it's hard to create original good products.
But it's easier to buy with their deep pockets.
If we were selling.
If you were selling. Okay, so you're not here to sell.
We're not here to sell. We're here to build a big brand and to be India's largest and probably one of the world's largest hot sauce brands.
Well, so more power to you.
Sales channel, again, are you focused heavily on online, or do you think we'll see a good mix between physical and online presence?
So we've stayed away from unorganized offline, but there's a huge growth in organized retail offline. So as modern trade grows, we're seeing massive growth in modern trade. As a brand, it's easy for us today. There's a lot of infrastructure that exists because of e-commerce, the D2C environment, as well as organized retail. So things that didn't exist for a lot of companies, 10, 20 years ago. So through a pandemic, we're already in hundreds of stores, various geographies across the country.
It's difficult to do that being just a food and grocery sort of player, primarily because the gross margins are not as high as beauty and personal care. So does it make unit economics sense for you? Are you guys EBITDA positive on a per unit basis?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what are the gross margins you work with?
We have high gross margins. We're over 80% gross margins on our product because we're indigenous products. So we don't actually get anything from outside, all locally sourced. So given that there are global supply chain issues, we wouldn't face those given that all our products are indigenous.
Quickly, before we get into a break, I just wanted to know what got Abhishek Bachchan to invest in you?
Good product. They tasted our product. It's once you try it, you'll know. There are a lot of people, not just him, who wanted to sort of get involved with the product after tasting it. So he liked what we were doing. We're India first company making original products out of India.
What does he bring apart from the money?
A lot. He's one of the largest Bollywood celebrities in the country. He's big into sports. We've always marketed Naagin sauce as a product for people of passion. And because of his kabaddi teams and his football teams, he's a true advocate of that.
And the family seems to be a fan of Naagin sauces, huh?
Yes, we're quite blessed that was the case as well.
All right. On that note, we actually have to take a very short break, but don't go anywhere because up next, we're going to talk about the millennial opportunity.